Tim, let me go to you because I know you recently had hand surgery on both of those hands. How is rehab going? Will we see Tszyu fight in the fall?
Yeah, look, I just got a little cleanup straight after the fight. You know, the Tszyu fight was a tough one as well. Busted my hands open during the fight. Kept fighting on. So, yeah, you know, I'll be back ready soon. And as Fundora said as well, I want the winner. You know, I've been mandatory for 2 years now, and I'm just eager to get my hands on both of them, but more specifically Charlo.
Oh, love that. Let's take a look at some of the action from your fight with Tszyu, because, listen, you're coming to get the attention of the winner of this fight tonight.
You know what? The knockdown when I got dropped actually worked in my favor, because these little punks think that, you know, they can take me on and it'll be an easy fight. But I'm telling you, I'm like a zombie. I'm gonna keep walking forward, and I'm gonna smack them out.
Well, you certainly were dominant right after that knockdown. You know, Tony Harrison has already come out, and he said, I want to fight Tszyu, and I want to fight him in Australia. What do you think?
Look, in Australia, we do big things. We do big crowds. You know, it's pretty insane for what we achieved here in Australia. But I'm looking to come here in America, and I specifically came to this fight as the mandatory for 2 years already to pick out the winner. I want Charlo or Castano next.
What about the guy sitting next to you?
I know, we're both mandatory. I know, so that's what the whole politics in boxing is. But I want him first.
I love it. Can't let you guys go without getting predictions. Start with you, Tim. Who's going to win the main event and why?
Look, I'm hoping Charlo wins, just because I'd love to fight him and smack him out.
What do you think, Sebastian?
Yeah, I have Charlo. I think the power is going to come into play with this fight, and he has the power compared to Castano. It's a bigger difference, you know?
I tell you what, two unbeaten fighters.
All right, let's stop right there. It is Wednesday morning here, 8:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, May the 18th, 2022. This past weekend, now undisputed, WBC, WBA, IBF, WBO, and Ring Magazine, and should be pound for pound, a pound for pound champion on everyone's list. Jermell Charlo stopped Browne Castano in 10 rounds. Highly entertaining fight. In fact, it is the highest viewed Showtime championship boxing fight since Deontay Wilder knocked out Dominic Breazeale. That was back in, what, 2019 or so? Crazy. So right now, living on top of the world. So first, we're going to be here for a while. We got a lot to talk about, and more importantly, who is and what is possibly next for Jermell Charlo, and if it's Tszyu or not. So first, Big J, let's talk about the fight. We didn't get your thoughts on Charlo Castano too. What did you think of the fight?
Oh, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. There, g'day everyone. Hope everyone's going over there. I mean, Charlo proved, like we thought, that he made all the necessary adjustments from the first fight, which he clearly lost. Castano narrowly got him in that first fight, but he made all the necessary adjustments. He was more aggressive. He was obviously a bit more switched on than the last fight. And every time Castano hit him with something, Charlo answered with 4 or 5 back. So, I mean, Charlo broke him down. He walked through that granite chin of Castano, and he knocked him the fuck out. So, absolutely brilliant performance. Probably one of the, one of the better performances of the year. Fight of the year, yeah, contender. But, definitely probably one of the best performances at 154 in an extremely long time. So I thought it was an absolutely brilliant performance by Charlo, and he cemented his place, as he pretty much already was, the #1 guy at 154. And there's going to be, whoever's going to bump him off, they're going to have to be, completely at their best, or it's not going to happen for 4 or 5 years. And Charlo's, at the arse end of his prime. So, brilliant performance by Charlo. So, yeah.
One thing, how do you feel, he looked at the weight, because now the question is, there's some, different reports of whether he's going to stay in the 154-pound division or not. For example, Jermell Charlo, the 160-pound brother of Jermell, twin brother, has said that he's going to be moving up to 168 and Charlo's going to be moving up to 160. But we've talked about many times about, you know, how does that move make sense? You see what I'm saying? Because the money is clearly going to be at 154 pounds, given if you look at the rankings we have pulled up right here. Jermell Charlo is having significant difficulties getting a fight at 160 pounds, to where he's fighting a fighter that fans are, a fight, you know, in a couple of months, what is it, next month, I believe, that fans really are just like bashing. Mashu Saluski, a Polish fighter, I've covered him many times. But if Charlo was to move up to 154, it's not like he's going to be able to get Golovkin. You know, Demetrius Andrade has already moved up to 160. You have that WBO belt that's going to be held by either Janjabek Alam Kanuli or Danny Dignam. They're fighting this weekend, by the way. You know, so, you know, there's really, you know, I don't know who he will be able to get up there. But in your opinion, you know, do you think, you know, like, where do you feel he should go?
He should stay where he is. I mean, I've heard a lot of reports from, you know, inside sources, people that I know a lot more than I fucking do. And they all say, yeah, he's moving up to 160. I'm like, why is he moving up to 160? There's nothing there for him. His brother's not getting any fights. Why would he bother moving up to 160? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, 160's, besides Triple G, what's exactly happening at 160?
Well, right now,
fuck all, really.
Yeah, no, nothing. You know, you got Golovkin, who, you know, it's getting heavy traction now that Golovkin is going to be taking on Canelo.
Canelo for the third time.
Yeah, you know, and basically he would have to vacate, though, you know, at least that IBF we do know of. And I remember when you talked, you know, when we covered Isaac Hartman and Mick Zarafa, it looks like Esquiva Falco and Mick Zarafa will be fighting for that vacant belt. So either way, the point I'm trying to make is, yeah, maybe Charlo would have an easy path to, you know, getting another undisputed at 160, because with the guys that will be remaining, I think he will be able to beat them all. But, you know, the problem is, those are not fights that people are going to ask for. To where at 150, to where at 154, you got, you know, Fedor, that would be an exciting fight. The Tony Harrison 3 fight, maybe that fight can happen at 160, you know, but the Tony Harrison 3 fight, you know, would gain a lot of buzz. Of course, we're going to talk about Tszyu, and then to even mention the potential guys that can move up from 147 to 154. Danny Garcia, even though I don't think he should do it, still, that would be a name at 154 pounds. You got Virgil Ortiz, you know, who says he's staying at 147 now, but if he moved up, he would be at 154. Boots Ennis wants to collect a belt at 147 before he moves up to 154. From my understanding, he doesn't want to be a he doesn't want to really pursue undisputed at 147. You know, and then of course you got Errol Spence, who both of them are trained by Derek James, so don't expect for them to fight. But then you also got Terrence Crawford. So I'm wondering, you know, it must be, you know, a weight. It must be a weight thing, you know?
It's got to be. But all the money, once he gets these mandatories out of the way,
which we're going to talk about next. Go ahead.
There's no money. There's no money in fighting Murtazaliev. But you know that, you know, based on the fact that that kid's been taking 3 step-aside fights against nothing. Bullshit competition just to keep him busy. Charlo will pretty easily deal with him. Then he'll have to punch Tim Tszyu's head in, and we'll get to him, and then probably move on to Fedor, which would be an interesting fight. And he'd have to have 3 mandatories before he could have a voluntary,
pretty much
fight. And by then, guarantee Crawford will be moving up, and Crawford. Once Crawford moves up, he jumps the line. If Crawford moves up, he jumps the line, becomes the mandatory for Charlo at 154.
And that's a big global fight, you know, even if, depending on what happens with Spence versus Crawford, whenever that's announced. But yeah, the money is definitely at 154 pounds. But hey, you know, at the end of the day, it's up to the fighter. But let's talk about Bakram Murtazaliev. Now, here's the way it's supposed to work. I got this article here on the screen from Boxing Scene. Basically, the headline: Jermell Charlo Bakram Murtazaliev mandatory title fight ordered by the IBF. Now, originally, let me go to the end of the article right here. Read this out for you guys. Let me see. Russia's Murtazaliev became the mandatory challenger following a 12-round unanimous decision victory over Jorge Fortilla in their November 2019 title eliminator. That was on the undercard of Canelo versus Kovalev. 2 fights have since followed for Murtazaliev, both coming up. It's been actually 3 since, but this is a article from July of 2021. Where were we at? 2 fights have since followed Murtazaliev, both coming on the undercard of Showtime branded events headlined by Charlo. The 28-year-old from Grozny, Russia, scored a 4th-round stoppage of journeyman Manny Woods on the 9 televised undercard of Charlo Rosario last September, and outpointed Kerry Gray over 8 rounds off camera, preceding Charlo Castano, the first fight, in San Antonio last year. Both undercard slots came as per terms worked out with Murtazaliev's team, Kathy Duva, CEO of Main Events Boxing. They have a desire to secure the unbeaten boxer's due title fight, as he is next in the rotation of mandatory challengers. So since then, Murtazaliev has fought again. So he fought Manny Woods. Okay, he became mandatory. I have his box rec pulled up right here. He became mandatory November of 2019. And then 3 step-asides, Manny Woods, Kerry Gray, and Ahmed Chenko. And that was on the undercard of Tszyu versus Terrell Goucher, which was supposed to be Charlo versus Castano, the original date. So what we're seeing here is this guy is supposed to be like next. And was the Russian sanctions, I'm not getting into politics, but I'm trying to, we're trying to figure out why this guy, is not being mentioned this weekend, when Sergey Kovalev, another main event fighter, fought over on Triller the same night as Charlo Castano too. But yet we haven't been hearing nothing anywhere about this guy. And you would think, wait a minute, Showtime had Tszyu and Fandora, they gave them their own segment. We watched it. So why not this guy who's been fighting on these cards, untelevised or not? So something's going on. What do you think's going on?
I think he's just taking the easy money because he probably knows he's going to get his head kicked in by Charlo. So that's all. This is just my theory, of course. I mean, I think that's what he's doing. He's probably just taking the easy step-aside money. Taking the easy money because, as you've said to me before we started the video, Main Event, not to be confused with Main Event Australia, completely different, is going down the gurgler. Is up what they've got, like 4 fighters left on their books or something like that. So
like basically, Main Event, Kathy Duva, they used to be. Let's just go back to about 4 or 5 years ago. They had a nice solid roster, fighters fighting on HBO, and now you see that their longtime publicist is no longer with them. She's with somebody else, whatever the difference is, whatever. But now we see them have a really low profile in boxing. And they only really have, from my understanding, Sergey Kovalev and Murtazaliev, that's fighters who are in any type of title contention. So what it looks like to me from the outside looking in is Main Event is eating off of these step-aside agreements too. But one thing for sure is the IBF being the most strict of the sanctioning bodies. We're hearing, or at least I've been hearing, that they're supposed to be ordering something soon. We're going to hear something. And maybe Charlo doesn't want to fight, Murtazaliev. Maybe PBC pulled the wool over, Murtazaliev and his team's eyes and said, okay, listen, you fight on the undercards. We're going to try to get you a shot, but never had any intention of actually fighting him in the first place. Because if they did, why wasn't he given this TV time that Tszyu's been getting to build him up for a Charlo fight? You see what I'm saying? It's like they haven't even been promoting the guy.
Yeah, there's something going awry there. There's something not right about it, that's for sure.
But let's move on. I'm gonna play this clip that Tszyu did with Fox Sports Australia, and we're gonna talk about, because basically now it's looking like he may be next. So we're gonna just play the audio of this. This was the Sunday, here in the States. Tim was in California the next day after the fight. It was uploaded at 1:07 p.m. So basically the very next day after the fight, the very next morning, about 10 o'clock in the morning or so, this was uploaded. This clip right here, it starts off with at the post-fight press conference of Charlo versus Castano. We have that video here on the channel, the full post-fight interviews with Derek James and Jermell Charlo after the Castano victory. And basically, you know, it doesn't seem like Charlo was interested in Tszyu at all, or really doesn't seem like he really knows who he is. It seems genuine. But I'm going to play this clip, take a time out, like the video. Only takes a second. Let us know what you think about the video so far, and also what you think is going on with Murtazaliev. I'm going to play this clip, take a time out, like the video, subscribe.
He should be quiet. He really didn't look, he didn't really look so, I don't really watch a lot of boxing. But just so happened I did see him, and he didn't look so great. So, I mean, there's nothing to answer, He didn't look so great the last time. He should work on his own situation.
He said stylistically he'd match up well against you, Jermell. Have you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Hey, it's different heat over here in America, baby.
Right,
it's different heat in America. How much Tszyu, whatever his name is, how much they got? How much money they got?
Don't worry about it. You don't hear, I answered that.
Yeah.
Would you take a fight against Tim?
You and Tim, because you changed the mic.
So, what does Tszyu think of that? Let's ask him now. Tim, thanks for your time. The Charlo camp, hardly complimentary about you there. Keeping in mind you are live on Fox Sports News at the moment. Your response?
Oh, he knows exactly who I am.
And do you think that he's going to get even more up close and personal with you shortly?
Oh, look, after my last fight, he made a video and he started talking smack then. So, look, I'm the mandatory challenger for the belt that he's got. So he's got 3 months to make a decision to fight me, or he vacates the belt. So you either vacate or you fight me. That's the only choice he's got.
Now, I love the new era of interviewing people over Zoom. It gives us great access to athletes wherever they are, whatever they're doing. Before we go any further with this interview, Tim, where exactly are you at the moment?
Well, we just hired a Corvette, the new C8 Corvette, and we were just cruising around. We just went past the Playboy Mansion, so...
you are living life large in America, that is for sure. All right, back to Charlo. Do you think he respects you at all?
Nah. He's a very disrespectful man. So stuff him. I don't like him anyway.
You travelled to the States to watch this fight. What did you make of his performance?
Oh, look, with all respect, he fought a very good fight. Respect to both men. They went there and they gave it their all, and you know he got the win, the undisputed title, and he did an amazing job.
He's so explosive. How do you get the better of him?
He's not really explosive. He's just a good technical boxer. Castano was more explosive. Castano was landing the combo punches. He was just outsmarting him, I guess.
How will the process go from here in terms of you securing this fight? Have you already talked about it with your team?
Well, look, he's got 3-4 months to either fight or vacate. That's it, you know. I'm the mandatory challenger for the WBO, and with all the other governing bodies, I'm ranked in the top 2. So, if he wants to fight, well, there's me and Fundora, and I'm the one that wants to fight more than anyone.
He mentioned money there multiple times. Do you think that that's what it's going to come down to for him, the right price, and the fight will happen, the wrong price, maybe it doesn't?
Well, whatever sells. I think me and him will sell because there's no love between us two. It's all hate.
Where do you want the fight to happen?
America. I want to beat him in his own home ground. And if he wants to come to Australia, then he's more than welcome.
You're recovering from surgery on your hands. When are you going to be able to start training properly again?
Oh, look, I'll be ready in like a month. There's still a bit raw, but yeah, it was a little cleanup. The stitches are still in, so I can't really sweat too much. But yeah, I'll be ready. I'll be ready to go whenever.
So just a parting little message to Jermell Charlo now. If this was your fight pitch, what does Tszyu say to Jermell Charlo?
Look, I'm not very disrespectful, but he did an amazing job last night. He fought very well. Both respect to both Castano and Charlo. But look, if you want a dance partner, I'm here. You know, I'm here to fight. I'm here, and I'm not here to just tip tap, and I'm here to try to take you out. So if you want to punch on, I'm always keen.
Tszyu, as always, thanks very much for your time on Fox Sports News. Enjoy that California sun as well. It's looking good there.
Yeah, we'll do.
So, it's starting to look like to me that, you know, I mean, Charlo's going to move up to 160, you know, because I can't see him fighting Tszyu. And Charlo doesn't seem to be interested in fighting Tszyu. And what we talked about with Murtazaliev, that interest doesn't seem to be there. I mean, yeah, you got Fedor that has a little hype behind him. But, you know, we're going to have to see. Let me play this one last clip here from the Charlo Castano press conference. I think it's like a minute long, and then we're going to wrap up the video. This was when Charlo was asked at the post-fight press conference about Tszyu, for those who didn't see it. And once again, you can watch the full video on the channel. It's right there, clear as day. Charlo, Jermell Charlo post Castano 2 fight media Q&A.
Hi, Jermell. How's it going? Duncan McKenzie-McCarg here from Fox Sports Australia. Congratulations, amazing achievement. I'm not sure if you're aware though, but Tszyu was at the fight tonight watching you. Full respect from me, so just don't shoot the messenger here. But pre-fight, he said he expected you to win, but also said that you're a little bit soft and that you don't bring the pressure. Can I get your response to that? And what do you make of Tim as a fighter? And would you like to fight him, Jermell?
Well, I saw him his last fight. He should be quiet. He really didn't look. He didn't really look. So I don't really watch a lot of boxing.
Motherfuckers out.
But just so happened I did see him, and he didn't look so great. So I mean, there's nothing to answer. Nothing to answer. He didn't look so great the last time. He should work on his own situation.
He said stylistically he'd match up well against you, Jermell. You got any thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Hey, it's different heat over here in America, baby.
Right, yeah,
it's different heat in America. How much Tim 2, whatever his fucking name is, how much they got? How much money they got?
Don't worry about it. You don't. I answered that.
Yeah.
Would you take a fight against Tim?
Fuck you and Tim, because you changed the mic. Like, stop asking me questions, dude.
Well, there is that Charlo. I've been a victim myself of asking Charlo the tough question. And you can see how the reporter had gave him the disclaimer. Like, look, basically, I'm from Fox Sports. Don't shoot the messenger. I got to ask this shit. And, of course, that Charlo unhinged to come out. But, yeah, does that sound like, you know, that they're interested in Tszyu to you?
Well, it doesn't sound like. I mean, it was a bit rude to a reporter. You don't need to fucking, you don't need to be rude to a reporter. He's just doing his job. But I don't think they have any interest in the Tszyu fight, and nor do they have to until the WBO orders Charlo to fight Tszyu. He doesn't have to do a damn fucking thing. So Tszyu can run around and say whatever he wants, and you know, he says that he's been mandatory for 2 years, which is fucking bullshit.
Yeah, hold on. Let me pull that. Let me pull it up for you just to let people know we have it pulled up before you continue. We have it pulled up right here. On the WBO's website, you can actually go to the boxing news and go to page number 4 in the news archives right here. Let me see it. Let me make sure it's page number 4. Page number 5, excuse me. And halfway down the page, you can find the WBO's resolution to who should be mandatory between Tszyu and Kurbanov. And let me tell you, we did a whole video about that, and it was some bullshit. But nonetheless, regardless, Tszyu has only been mandatory, ordered by the WBO, since August the 27th of 2021. So go ahead, Big J.
Yeah, I was just saying, because he said 2 years being mandatory for 2 years. 2 years ago, he didn't even fight Jeff Horn. I mean, it's May 2022.
That was in August of 2020.
That fight was in August of 2020, which pretty much put him on the scene. And, you know, main event has been cramming him down our throats ever since.
All $60 pay-per-views over in Australia. You know, Bowen, Dennis Hogan, Steve Spark, Takashi Inoue.
Yep. And Terrell Goucher, that was $60 too. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that pretty much that Horn Tszyu fight kicked off the $60 pay-per-views, and it's been going on ever since. I mean, for him to go around and say things that is completely factually untrue just makes him look completely fucking stupid. I mean, you don't go saying stupid. I'm all for fighters name picking and having a crack at each other and, poking the bear a little bit to promote the fight. I'm all for that, but not when they flat out fucking lie. That's when I toe the line and go, no, that's factually completely untrue. You haven't been mandatory for 2 years. You've barely been mandatory for 1.
Yeah, we got the documents right here. We have the, as the kids say these days, we have the receipts. We're looking at it.
Yeah, you got the bloody receipts. So, and to say that, I did actually watch another Fox Sports interview after the fight. He said that, he would work Charlo, he would break his rhythm. That's smart. Yeah, go after his body. See if you can get close enough to him, of course.
Yeah, that was the one from the arena, right?
Yeah, that was the one from the arena. I think, okay, he's got a solid plan. Go after his body, break his ribs. Yep, solid plan, smart, because he is a good body puncher. You've got to give him that. But as I've been saying, Charlo would knock him the fuck out inside of 3 rounds. Maybe 6 if he, because Charlo's not a very good, Charlo's like Tim, he doesn't start all through. He's not a quick starter. He takes a few rounds.
He can sure finish. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, he knocked out Lubin and won.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
But it's like, he's one of those fighters that, we've seen that he can get stronger, as the fight goes on.
As the fight goes on. As the fight goes on.
He can have some, because it's happened with John Jackson. He was losing that fight, came on second half of the fight, knocked him out. The Tony Harrison rematch, and now, of course, we've seen with the Castano rematch. And shout out to Derek James, by the way. I'm already saying he's coach of the year, or trainer of the year. With undisputed champion in Jermell Charlo, and Errol Spence coming back from an eye injury to completely dismantle your Dennis Ugas and break his eye. So to close out, we got a few minutes left before we hit the 30-minute mark. Where do we go next for Tszyu if it's not Charlo? It seems like, if you noticed, Showtime is kind of pushing the Tony Harrison idea.
I thought they were pushing the Fendora idea. Why else would they have those two blokes talking at the same time?
True. And I think that's the way to go, to keep both fighters busy. But, as we talked about before, the management, they're not going to want to give up them 2 mandatory shots. It doesn't seem like it.
Well, that's perfectly true. But it doesn't matter, because if he fights Tony Harrison and gets his ass kicked, it makes no difference.
Yeah.
So every time he fights, he puts his mandatory status on the line, so it makes no difference. So, I mean, he got dropped by Terrell Goucher. It doesn't matter what anyone says. That is not a good look. Terrell Goucher is a step above a journeyman, right?
Yes.
Never going to be a world champion. Okay, world title has been. What is it? I never will be.
Yeah, he was a contender.
Bridesmaid, never the bride. And for him to get dropped in the first round, as I've been saying the entire time we're talking about Tszyu, he is amateurish in those first 2 rounds, and that's his weakest point. Once he gets going, he's pretty hard to beat. But those first 2 rounds, he is completely vulnerable. And even Dennis Hogan took it to him in those first 2 rounds of that fight. Same with Dwight Ritchie. Dwight Ritchie took it to him in those first 2 fights before he got that cut and couldn't see the rest of the bloody fight. So, that's where Tim is at his weakest point in those first 2 rounds. And Wade Ryan and Terrell Goucher both dropped him in the first round.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's in the deep end now. He's in the deep end now, but no, I don't see him getting Charlo. I don't see it.
Well, I want to say this. If Charlo gets ordered to fight him and then pisses off to 160, that's going to look piss weak for Charlo.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I don't want to see Charlo do. If he gets ordered by the WBO to fight him,
won, undisputed, and they've already been talking about him moving up. So I don't think Charlo would take heat for that.
Yeah. But you can imagine what the Tszyu team's going to do. He was ducking me. He's afraid. He went to 160. They'll never shut up about that, and that's shit I don't want to hear. But that's exactly what will happen.
But, well, we'll see. Only time will tell. We should hear something within definitely the next month, because, Charlo has all those belts, and those sanctioning bodies got to get everything in order, because you have other fighters, obviously, waiting for their shot. So you can imagine that they're probably calling and harassing the sanctioning bodies as well. Take your time out, like the video, subscribe. This is T-Street Controversy and Big J with Fight View 360. This will count for our Australian boxing wrap-up for the week, I guess, and then we'll see you in about a week and a half or so. And, start talking and getting ready for Kambosos Haney. Take your time out, like the video, subscribe, and thanks for watching.